putting out a call to the warrior in you, to the healer in you, to the mother, the father, the grandfather in you. Every single day, we are called to walk in our purpose. Answer the call. Lay down your burden and anything that holds you back and take your place. The battle is everywhere and it's right in your face. Let's go.
Welcome to Magnets, Crystals, and Pyramids. Success is your destiny. Love, wisdom, power. Remember, always who you are. Yes, I am. Love, wisdom, power. Yes, I am. Love, yes, power. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Love, wisdom, power. Yes, I am. Love, wisdom, power. Master. Yes, I am. Yes, love, wisdom, power. Yes, I am. Say to yourself, yes, I am. Yes, I am. I am. Yes, I want to thank our brother Baraka. Welcome, family, to Magnets, Crystals, and Pyramids. I am your host, Brother Unc Rising Sun, also known as Uncle Hinky. And want to acknowledge Dwayne Johnson, Carol Williams. I want to thank everybody in the listening audience now and in the future. We're going to have fun tonight. First hour, I'm going to share with you some medicine that I've been dealing with. Some of you know about the Seh Haw tea, and what I've been doing is combining it with acacia. So before we begin, let's do the invocation. Okay. I am in me. I am in you, the listening audience. I am in the sea of life. In the name of love, we call upon our ancient past, our present, and our unlimited possibilities of the future. And because we are ultimate galactic theatrical characters of divine actors and actresses, we say together, yes, I am forgiving everybody and everything in my past lives. And I ask everybody in my past lives, please forgive me. And in this life, to free myself of the burdens, I forgive everyone. And I ask everyone to please forgive me. And with that being said, let's call on our ancestor angelic army. In the name of love, we call upon Enoch, the Ethiopian, who is now known as Metatron. We ask you to be a part of the show tonight. Join us, Metatron. I ask in the name of love, Archangel Michael, Archangel Michael, please surround and protect each of us now and in the future, and all our friends, family, and loved ones. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for being on the show. I say, Archangel of Healing, Archangel Raphael, thank you for joining us. Archangel Gabriel, Angel of Strength, thank you for joining us. Archangel Uriel, Angel of Enlightenment and Wisdom, thank you for joining us. Angels Seraphim and Cherubim, thank you for joining us. And now we call on our ascended master ancestors. In the name of love, I call on Simeon Toko, the latest Christ born in the Congo. I invite him to be with us and his army of black angels. Call upon Sheikh Amadou Bamba, Sheikh Ibrafal, because we're going to talk about West African herbs tonight, family. I want to give special invitation and acknowledgement to Saint Germain, Nikolai Tesla, Wilhelm Reich, Melchizedek, Mother Mary, Black Madonna. I'd like to acknowledge Ilegba, also known as Ganesh, Oshun, goddess of love, known by many names, Heteru, Venus, Diana, Lakshmi, goddess of love, be with us tonight. I want to call on Mother Ocean, Yemaya, Ologun, Oya, Shango, Ogun, Obatala, Ochosi, be with us on this show tonight. Call on Yeshua, Elijah, Quetzalcoatl, White Buffalo Calf Woman, Prophets, Marcus Mosaic Garvey, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Chief Geronimo, Chief Osceola, Chief Crazy Horse, Chief Sitting Bull, Chief Seattle, and all the shaman warriors of this ancient land, serving the wisdom, the power, and the knowledge of love. I'd like to call on Shroom Master Dr. Sabi, Shroom Master Dr. George Washington Carver, Shroom Jedi Keeper Harriet Tubman, Mary McLeod Bethune. I want to give a special acknowledgement to P.B. Randolph to be with us tonight on this show. I'd like to acknowledge Buddha, Krishna, and that's my kitty cat making noise in the background, and to all the Lion Kings, wherever they may be. I'd like to acknowledge you, the listening audience. Thank you for being born. Thank you for being alive. Thank you for surviving the airport adolescence of your youth. And we say together, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Okay. Been drinking Seh Haw tea. And we've been talking about Seh Haw tea before. Seh Haw tea is the miracle tea from West Africa, also known as Kinkaliba. It has many benefits, ranging from anti-cancer, liver detox, anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, weight loss, digestive aid, lowers blood pressure, gallbladder detox, opiate detox. All right, family. That's called Kinkaliba. All right. And this is what it looks like in its bundled state. This is what it looks like. And this is the Kinkaliba bush. This is the small Kinkaliba bush shrub, like a mini tree. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about acacia wood. Now, acacia wood is a mystical, magical tea. I mean, herb and a tree. And you can see the giraffe under its shady parts in this photo. All right. Also, family, I want to say you have invoked me to get busy making silver masks that will soon be available by next week. All right. So this is the flyer. Silver face shield is what it's going to be called. The silver face shield. And it shows how the silver ions inhibit the production of microbes by basically smothering them to death with the silver ions. As you inhale through the silver mask shield, the fabric silver ions are carried into the breathing passages and into the lungs, transferring the silver ions directly into the blood. Then the silver ions are believed to be neutralizing to bacteria and viruses in the bloodstream. And here we have a little more information. Silver used to be used as a refrigerator for keeping spoilable products by adding a pure silver coin. It was common practice to drop a silver coin into a container of milk as a preservative because silver was known to prevent the growth of algae, bacteria, and other undesirable organisms. Dating back to ancient times, silver was also a popular remedy to stop the spread of diseases. The use of the natural antibiotic continued all the way into the 1940s when modern antibiotics was discovered, penicillin. Silver wipes out bacterial infections in a safe and clean manner without compromising our immune system like antibiotics do. However, it's very cheap. It offers an alternative to endless rounds of conventional antibiotic that never seem to fully take care of the problem. Silver effectively vanished from the medicinal market in the early 20th century because it could not be patented. You can't patent silver. In modern lab tests, silver was getting its fame back as a safe, multi-purpose, wide-spectrum bacteria killer. Wide-spectrum viricide. It is known to kill superbugs such as MRSA and has been treated against over 650 common and exotic infections and disease. Not only is colloidal silver super effective at eliminating bacterial infection, but is equally effective at resisting strains of bacteria. And it does not cause any further mutations, which is great news for its long-term uses as an antibiotic treatment. Wound care, skin health. Colloidal silver preparations can be used for topically to treat burns, thrush, psoriasis, and eczema. And with these masks, and here there's a picture here that shows silver ions bind to the cell wall of the bacteria, causing it to rupture. Once inside the cell, the silver ions attach to the metabolic enzymes, suffocating the cell. The ions then bind to the DNA strands to stop the replication process in its tracks. However, the pharmaceutical gangsters do not want you to know about silver and its benefits ever since they started using antibiotics because of money. All right, so here's a picture of the first half. This is the first half of the show. Seh Haw, Kinkaliba, and Acacia, the supernatural tea blend. All right, in the lower right corner is the Seh Haw, also known as Kinkaliba. And as I said before, the giraffe is shading underneath the acacia tree. All right, so here's a picture of people in Africa drinking Seh Haw tea. But now, family, this is where it gets interesting. All right, so I'm going to show you the picture. All right. Say if you're going to make a gallon of Seh Haw tea. Now, I was just steeping Seh Haw tea, but in the written literature and the links that you'll find in the show description, you can boil Seh Haw tea for approximately 20 minutes. All right, I was just steeping. And then I was guided. My I am guided me. And special acknowledgement to our ascended master ancestors that we just invoked. Thank you. Saint Germain. Thank you. Sheikh Amadou Bamba. Thank you. Sheikh Ibrahim. Thank you. Simeon Toko. Because this tea, Kinkaliba tea, is found throughout West Africa. All right. Now, I first take a gallon and then I take approximately an ounce, put this inside of a diffuser. Okay. That's basically a metal tea bag. And then after bringing the water to a boil, I add a small handful of acacia wood. Now this is not what is called gum of Arabic. This is gum of Arabic. Both of these are the acacia tree. The gum of Arabic is the sap, the secretion from the acacia tree. This here, family, is the actual wood from the acacia tree. So I take a small amount of this powder and put it in the boiling water for about 15 minutes. After about 15 minutes, I add the Seh Haw tea. This is about a gallon of water, okay? About an ounce. And then I let it boil. Well, actually, I'll start boiling it after reading the information to share with you tonight. But the combination, if you muscle test or if you do a pendulum reading or you do a sway test or whatever your technique is, it's amazing blend that the first thing that you'll experience after drinking the tea, probably within an hour if your body's somewhat clean, is you got to go to the bathroom and flush. Because any herbs that's highly beneficial as a superfood, the first thing the body does with energy is flush, detox the batter, the body. All right, so I use. Then, let me not forget, I also put the gum of Arabic in the acacia while it's boiling. And the gum of Arabic, you got to let it melt. Special shout out to KT Arch Degree. He brought a lot of attention and awareness to gum of Arabic. So the combination of the tree sap and the tree combined with Seh Haw makes an amazing tea, family. And this is the Seh Haw. And while the tea is steeping, you can add maple syrup. I usually do add maple syrup or what's it called? Beet sugar crystals. And I also always like to add cinnamon to the tea. I like to add cinnamon. I'm just looking at the different comments. All right, let me stay focused. Our co-host, Baraka, he wasn't available tonight. The big thing I want to share also is that you can make these silver masks, family, and generate income. Price average is about $30 for a good quality silver mask. Just want to say that. Oh, one other thing too. Family, make sure you get into a lifestyle where you have Brazil nuts. 4 to 5 Brazil nuts a day allows your body to have the minerals needed, especially selenium, to keep your immune system strong. Selenium deficiency was associated with HIV and a host of other illnesses. Get into the habit of taking, for the purpose of selenium. You can look it up. Look up the information about the benefits and the need for selenium in the body, and you can get that from Brazil nuts. Okay. Simeon Sajib, peace. What brand of acacia wood do you have? Acacia Confucia, because there's many different types of acacia wood. Also, while we're talking about acacia, let's just talk about Egyptian ayahuasca, because acacia wood can also be used as a form of Egyptian ayahuasca. Now, if you're going to you got to make sure, family, you're not on any kind of medication. If you're going to be a psychonaut, that's like an herbal psychedelic astronaut. You can't be all medicated up, taking high blood pressure medication and psycho meds. Those are all contraindicated for any kind of entheogens, because those medications, you're disqualified from doing any form of psychedelics. If you're on any form of medication, I don't recommend it at all. Okay. The best water to use in making The Seh Haw Acacia tea is a supercharged water that you find in the description in the YouTube channel. We already created a show that teaches you how to make supercharged water by heating and cooling water again and again. And after you heat and cool water 3 to 9 times minimum, you then add uh, liquid minerals called crystalloid minerals. So here I have a cup. Take about 8 ounces, 8 drops. It's about 12 to 16 ounces. And if you're going to create supercharged water, this supercharged water is also known as deuterium depleted water, DDW. And if you look for deuterium depleted water on the internet, you'll find on average the price of that water being heated and cooled after it was well filtered runs about $80 a gallon. $80 a gallon for the heating and the cooling of the water. So if you're going to make Seh Haw tea, it's best if it's supercharged. Supercharging, heating and cooling the water at least 3, 6, or 9 times, and then adding the liquid minerals. Bring that water to a boil. And the reason for that, the hydrogen becomes awakened, and the radiation that's commonly found inside of ordinary tap water, the radiation of aging and disease, is called deuterium. Deuterium is what on this planet causes aging and disease. And I believe, my intuition says, us surface dwellers are aging faster than anyone else in the solar system, because it's not natural to age until after 1,000 years. It's not natural. It's natural to, it's not natural to start aging before 1,000 years. Look at the prophets in the Bible. Adam, 800, 900 years. Noah, 800, 900 years. Abraham, they all lived for hundreds of years. So we're supposed to be so much more evolved, yet we only live 10% of that. So can you please repeat the DDW? Dana, deuterium depleted water. You can find it on eBay if you're too lazy to make your own water. I'm not talking about you, Dana. You can buy it on eBay for $80 a gallon, or you can buy the whole setup for the kitchen to create your supercharged water. This also makes you 5G proof, radiation proof, by drinking supercharged water, which has been heated and cooled. You don't have to worry about low frequency electrical pollution. Your body has a greater strength. Your magnetic field is stronger. Your aura is stronger. And the deuterium in your body that you collect from mildly from the air, concentrated in food, meats, products, and also found in water, they find very little of it in the area of the world around the equator. They find very little deuterium. Deuterium is minimal around the equator. So all our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean and around the equator of the world, you don't age as fast as you do in the northern hemispheres. The northern and the southern hemispheres have the most problems with deuterium, radioactivity that causes aging and disease. Okay, and that's a heavy hydrogen molecule. Now, you supercharge the water by heating and cooling it, playing music. Then you take that water and an ounce of that water to a gallon of regular water. It'll supercharge the gallon of regular water, and then you can make that water come to a boil. Now, alkaline water that's created by Kangen machines and Jupiter Orion or whatever alkaline machine you have, it only separates the hydrogen and oxygen molecules, and it creates alkalinity because you have 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen. But that alkalinity only lasts for a few minutes, so you have to drink it right away. When you heat and cool water repetitiously, the charge stays on the water for about 2 years. 2 years, family. All right. Coming back now. In summary, Seh Haw tea with acacia wood and gum of Arabic. You can just put, pretty much equal parts to a gallon of water. No more than 1 to 2 ounces. Now let's talk about acacia for meditation. Acacia for meditation. Now that's when it gets deep, because you have to, family, you have to have a herb from Africa called Syrian Rue. What you fussing about, Fuzzy? I hear my cat singing in the background. Syrian Rue is a myo inhibitor, but Syrian Rue is an amazing herb. I'm going to share with you some of that information also. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. If I can find it. It's a lot of information, but we're going to read some of it. I want you to become familiar with this amazing herb. And I'm going to put it in the chat. Okay? I'm going to put this in the chat. Here it is. Copy. Because I didn't know I was going to do this, but I'm going to put it up now. Right here in the chat. And I want you to read it. Paste. Let's see. Boom. Let me see if it's show. Oops. Hold on. There's more to it. There it is. All right. Let me make a copy. Trying to paste it. You need to know about this seed called Esfon. Nope, that's not it. Okay, delete. Esfon, also known as African Rue, is an amazing herb. Here it is. Here it is. Okay. Let me just copy everything, because I kept this a long time ago online, but the website that had it disappeared. So I'm going to put this in the chat, but it's going to be a lot of information, but I want to paste it in here anyway so that you can see it. All right. This is one article about it. All right. You have to look in the chat about this, but I'm going to read some of the things about African Rue or Syrian Rue, because you need to know this, family. Taking it from the top. And I also put the website on that I got the information. Prophets, Procreation, and Parallel Worlds. I quote, I am created by divine light. I am sustained by divine light. I am protected by divine light. I am surrounded by divine light. I am ever growing into divine light. And that's a quote from Swami Sivananda Radha. This is your brain on youth. Now listen close. We are hardwired to seek pleasure, seek ecstasy. As children, we expressed our authentic core selves, that which can neither be taught nor learned. But the whole self-help and new age movements are based on trying to get back to that golden state of innocence, childlike wonder and awe with spiritual connection. When religion suggests we become as little children again, who could imagine this implies a shamanic return to the womb and the natural psychedelic state of an uncalcified pineal gland? In early childhood, we are perpetually immersed in cascades of trance-inducing theta brainwave rhythms with the feel-good chemical brew it creates into meta programming. Now, this is from 1 to the age of 8. Until roughly the age of 8, we can't distinguish between fantasy and reality due to our own natural psychedelic state as a child, a hallucinogen called DMT. So, yes, family, what I am saying, and you can quote me and the documentation that has been done from the age of 1 to 8, we are in a psychedelic state. And this is the state that our brains are not in beta, monkey mind. We're in a delta or theta mindset that allows magic and programming that will affect and impact the rest of our lives. DMT, dimethyltryptamine, molecules are similar to serotonin and target the same receptors. Meditation has been suggested as a means of preserving youthful appearance and mental flexibility. Dr. Rick Strassman and others claim this spiritual technology encourages production and release of natural DMT, soma penylene, in the mind body throughout the lifespan. So the natural form of DMT in the body is called soma penylene. DMT is implicated in the wild imaginations of our nightly dreams, deep death phenomenon, near death experiences, alien abduction experiences, and dream yoga. It is also a source of visionary phenomenon in therapy, such as unusual psychophysical states attained in waking dreams, shamanic or psychotherapeutic journeys. Synthetic and botanal DMT crosses the blood brain barrier and bonds with the same synaptic sites as serotonin. Psychedelic chemist Sasha Shulgin claims DMT is everywhere. Each night in dreams, we experience an essentially psychedelic state. Every night. The principal difference between dreams and hallucinations is the way the stages of wakefulness are organized, with the suppression of REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, and the inclusion of PGO waves in the arousal waking stage and in the NREM or slow sleep. The stages including waking arousal stage, stage of PGO waves, hallucination stage, sleep stage, and hallucinatory manifestations. The waking dream eliminates residues stirred up by the PGO wave pattern. So they're getting real technical. But what they're saying is DMT is the elixir of youth. These visions resemble those at the approach of death we call near-death experiences. And I'm going to scroll real quick. All right. Transcendental in states, or this transcendental phase includes tunnel or dark zone evaluation of one's life. And that's very much like when you take shrooms or ayahuasca, it gives you an overview of your life, the things that you did that were good and not so good. And age does not matter. You are responsible. Access to a transcendental world, entering into light, encounter with other beings, return to life. All right. Now, there's more. The pineal is the only unpaired gland in the brain. Usually you have pairs. Curiously, this solitary gland is light sensitive and actually has a lens, cornea. Your third eye or your first eye, your pineal gland has a lens, cornea, and retina. Is there a retinal circus of protons deep in the brain, which only the third eye sees or even creates in the light of wisdom? Yes. This third eye in the center of the brain is implicated in the production of endogenous or natural DMT, dubbed the spirit molecule. And I'm going to pause right there because I want to share with you. I find that orgone stimulates good quality orgone, family, when worn over the heart and when women wear it over their womb. Orgone generates or stimulates internal DMT. When I wear this orgone on my chest, it puts me in a bliss state all day long. and I'm better at whatever I do. All right. So the pineal synthesizes the natural hallucinogens in response to certain psychophysical states and raise serotonin levels in the brain. There is a functional decline in the gland with advancing age. So, what I'm saying to you, family, if you are on the verge of becoming an elder, the ancient way is that elders embraced psychedelics, like Dr. Sabi, like George Washington Carver, like Harriet Tubman, like Geronimo, like our indigenous ancestry embracing rabbit tobacco. The older you get, the more you need psychedelics to get back to your childlike state, not as an escape that you would do with alcohol or drugs. That's just a desire to do psychedelics being misdirected. So, what the population in this country has been misdirected for the urge to return to that childlike state to be hijacked into alcohol, prescription painkillers, and drugs. But you have those feel good hormones, what is known as dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, can be activated with orgone and crystals. And I found that certain arrangement of magnets will activate a crystal that will allow you to feel high all day. Now, there's going to be a problem. The problem is the very get high that you were seeking in the fine, beautiful women or men finding those curvaceous hips of a woman. Just imagine if you already orgasmic. What else does that woman or that man bring to the table? Ladies, if you're already in your orgasmic state, you're walking around heartgasmic, wombgasmic, clitorisgasmic already, then the man has to come with more than what you thought he had the need to provide for you before because you're already orgasmic. So this society, this civilization basically runs on people with feel good hormone deficiency. And as long as you're deficient, you can get caught up in cults, alcohol, weed, religions, because you don't feel good because in your childhood, in your formative years, there were unnatural traumas, maybe from your parents' own drama, that suppressed your serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, endorphin flow as a child. So you grow up to become a cult member, to look for the fulfillment of those natural endorphins and those natural psychedelics already in your bloodstream. So you turn to weed every day. You turn to uh, alcohol every day because your suppressed bliss is what you're really missing. Okay? So this master gland is responsible for the internal perception of light, the raising of kundalini, the serpent power, and for awakening inner sight and insight. The key to a successful meditation is the withdrawal of the sensory currents to the eye or the third eye. Once there, the gaze focuses on the middle and whatever appears without distraction. All right. This is getting more deep than I want to share. I want to move to something else, family. And we're going to talk about, now that you got an overview of the somapinolene, there's one more that I want to share with you. This is, oh, it's not even coming up on my screen. Let me see if I can pull it up on my other channel. Let me see if I find it. My other phone. Bear with me 1 second. Here it is. Here it is, family. Okay, now we're talking about Syrian Rue. It's also known, I'm gonna type it out, because to create Egyptian ayahuasca, you need this seed, and it is called, and you can find this in Indian stores, Esfand. All right. Esfand. Now, this is also used in Turkish. They use it for incense. and it goes back thousands of years. All right. So here I'm going to share with you. Let me see if I can copy all of it, and I'm going to put this in it also in the chat. And this is a lot of men reading, and a special shout out to Melanie. She inspired me to pull up this information in the archives of my computer because she wanted to tell me more about Esfon. It is used as a treatment and prevention of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Here we go. And I put it in the chat so you can read through it. Okay. I hope it shows. I hope you can read it in its fullness, family. Let's see. I can only see part of it, but I put the whole link. Pineal power, the miracle cures of the third eye. This was written in 1999 by Ananda. All right. And it says the human pineal gland not only produces the remarkable neurohormone melatonin, itself one of the body's most potent antioxidants, but the revolutionary pineoline, which is the name for 6-methyl tetrahydrobeta carboline, or 6-meo THBC. Wow. So we're talking about 5-meo DMT. There might be a possibility that 6-meo DMT. Not sure, but that's interesting. The most ancient used plants in global folk medicine that has 3 components in itself. The famous Soma plant, Soma, the original Rue, also known as a Syrian Rue, or Latin meaning Pendulum harmala. It has widely used in the Ayurvedic medicine of the Rig Veda as a Soma plant, mixed with gold. So they mix Syrian Rue with gold and meteorite with special elements. It is a famous plant of life for the great Zarathustra, where it was called Oma in the Vesta Veda. It was given to him by the god Mazda, the wise god of light, just as Soma was given to Brahma Manu in the Rig Veda. Since Zoroaster is in line of the ancestors of Gilgamesh, and Gilgamesh is a name associated with the ancient Syrians, known in the actual Sumerian kings list as King Atun, which sat at the bush of life. The very ancient plant of life may have been particularly identified. And with the modern discoveries now and the importance of beta carbolines, the eliminating disease-causing organisms, much of this is coming into light in the form of science confirmation. Listen close, family. Pineoline, Syrian Rue, African Ra, also resonates with the very pulse of life, 8 cycles per second. The seed resonates at 8 cycles per second. The pulse the DNA uses to replicate, and which has been measured by Dr. Puhagrick in the late 1970s to be emitted from the brains and hands of all successful healers. All right, regardless of belief or faith. Now, this is the most sacred plant of Muhammad. Now, they claim, now I'm not saying this is true. You got to research it yourself. It says Muhammad took the Esfand plant possibly before receiving the Quran from God. So now, you got to be careful putting this out there, because now they're saying that Muhammad had a psychedelic state with Esfand. Now, I couldn't find anything on it. So this writing is saying that that's what happened, that Prophet Muhammad took Esfand, and that's what opened up his third eye to receive the messages from the angels. Okay, Esfand cast out in the Middle East, as believed pre-Islamic Middle East. They believe that Esfand casts out the evil spirits and cures fever and malaria in their traditions. In the Petra mystery rites, in the schools of alchemy, the plant was central in their beverage of illumination and restoration. I also want to say, Syrian Rue was also used by Leonardo da Vinci and Galileo to stimulate their creativity. Syrian Rue, African Ra, also amplifies telepathic transmission and receptivity. I have to put that because I'm talking about from my personal experience of drinking from Syrian Rue. Uh, it was a plant that the Egyptian Essenes used. I'm going to scroll quicker. There's a lot of information. I hope y'all were able to uh, read this, what I posted. And if not, I'll try to put it in the show description. But it's a lot. It might be too much for me to load. So y'all can let me know if you can see this, family, in the comments. Let me know if you can see the entire article that I posted in the chat. All right. Pinealine at the same level as melatonin in the eye. Okay. So now we're talking about melatonin, pinealine in relation to African raw. It stimulates antioxidants. It's anti-addictive. Talking about African raw, it's anti-addictive. We're also saying here, it's highlighted the research, pinealine for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. And I'm going to read this because a lot of people suffer from that. The progression of several neurological diseases such as Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease has recently been shown to involve free radical damage. It is therefore of great importance to find the agents that will effectively protect brain tissue against rust. Oxidation is rust, family. So when your brain becomes rusty from inadequate circulation, that's what stimulates Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. The purpose of this study was to evaluate the free radical scavenging properties of pinealine. The results found in this study suggest that both melatonin and pinealine are valuable as potential free radical scavengers in the brain tissue. That means, family, doing psychedelics helps maintain youthfulness in your body and your brain. And if you're not doing entheogens in the form of ayahuasca or shrooms or bufo or ibogaine, you are subject to brain deterioration from natural oxidation. All right. The results found in the study show that both melatonin and pinealine are available as potential free radical scavengers in brain tissue. Both pinealine cures dermatosis and antifungal and antibacterial. All right. Now we're talking about African raw. By extension, since the Amazonian ka'api tree also contains harmine and harmaline, like the soma or the African raw, it does not contain pinealine. It will doubtless have some of the above curative elements also. So there's a connection, an intimate connection. Special shout out to our shamanic guide who was teaching classes. And also a shout out to our shamanic brothers in Colombia, South America, who's teaching. So they said there's a intimate connection. Our sister Acacia says there that the plants in South America and the plants of Africa were one and the same, and they were just named differently by the European colonists. Isn't that amazing? All right. So now it is well-known fact in science that melatonin produces mitosis. Melatonin does this by sending a small electrical signal up the double helix of the DNA, which instigates a 8 hertz proton signal that enables the hydrogen bonds to the star steps to zip open and the DNA can replicate. So we're talking about psychedelics for regeneration. And the needed element with acacia, the tree of life found in the Bible, is Syrian Rue. That combination, you got to use Syrian Rue, African raw combined with acacia wood. So you have to know what is a Syrian Rue. It has a deep history and it's in the chat. All right. This is astounding in itself. Melatonin is exclusively made in the pineal gland. Remember that, family. Okay. In fact, the pinealine is made 2 steps from melatonin, but the pineal gland, and I say pineal instead of pineal because that's an acoustical spell that I'm recreating. To say pinealine, I mean not pinealine, to say, oh, I am speaking of my pineal gland. pinhead. No, pine cone, pineal gland. So, family, flip the spell casting script from pineal to pineal to acoustically encourage pineal growth and development. Since melatonin we only produce in sufficient quantities in darkness while we sleep. Darkness is essential for our body to reproduce. You need to have sleep in the darkness, family. Some people I have met that sleep with their lights on all night literally are no longer among us, and they've died from cancer because melatonin is a super antioxidant. Um, so what is of prime importance here is that my colleague, Dr. Dieter Breyers, in a study done by Dutch Telecom, was able to demonstrate that 8 hertz first to the pineal gland before any other region of the brain. And it is here that melatonin and pinealine is made, which instigates themselves, the DNA, to replicate by an 8 hertz signal. So, yes, family, I am saying, according to the research, unless you do psychedelics, you will age. Unless you are embracing orgone, you will accelerate the radioactive poisoning of your body called aging through. What was that? Remember what I said it was called? Deuterium. So, if you ever notice, people who drink alcohol age faster than people who do shrooms or weed. You ever notice that? Alcohol, when you're driving down the road at night, and if you had a sufficient amount of to drink, you think you can handle driving 80 miles an hour down a 40-mile-an-hour road because time aging is accelerated. So yeah, I can drive fast, but when you're on weed, time slows down. It also slows down on the cells if you have a good quality weed. So you drive slower when you're on weed, and you drive faster when you're on alcohol. Just want to share that with you. What is almost unknown is the pinealine is far superior to melatonin in aiding DNA replication. So what we're saying, family, African raw just by itself can support regeneration and sustaining youthfulness in the cells. It could also be involved in genetic programming and corrections of the DNA damage. That's interesting. Or a model we have illustrated in detail in our book. All right. And effect of basically Syrian Rue. Okay, so I'm going to, it's just talking about cell regeneration in this article. Let me see what else, because we're coming up on the close to the 7 o'clock hour. So there's a whole lot more information, and you can read this in your own time. They're breaking down about the antimicrobial properties of African raw, the seeds, Esfon. We're talking about the magic of Esfon. Now, how do you prepare Esfon? Family, listen, this is how you prepare Esfon. And then you take the seeds, you preheat a toaster oven or an oven to 300, say between 300 and 350. You put the seeds in a glass pan or a glass dish, spread them out, and you want to toast the Esfon seeds for 20 minutes. And when you toast the Esfon seeds for 20 minutes, it will cook away the chemical that causes a feeling of nausea. Then you let it cool. Esfon is also related to coffee, so you'll have a coffee smell in your kitchen when you have the Esfon baked. Let it cool. After it cools, put a half a cup of acacia that's ground up. I mean, not a half a cup of acacia. African raw. Half a cup of African raw in a gallon of water. the African Ra, the the African Ra, the Syrian Rue, the Esfan, half a cup, ground up like coffee, ground up to a powder, into a gallon of water. Add two fresh lemons, freshly cut, and squeeze the lemon juice through a strainer to catch the seeds into the gallon of water. All right, so you're going to change the pH of the water with lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. Suggest fresh lemon juice only, because the lemon juice you buy at the supermarkets is not fresh. Okay. Then add 2 cups, 1 to 2 cups, use your intuition, of the acacia powder. Not talking about gum of Arabic. I'm talking about 2 cups to the gallon of the acacia wood. And I put in the description on the show, I put the link, www.acaciabeautiful.com. You can buy acacia wood. This is the wood that has the magical ingredients for meditation. Okay? Rob Moses, it's time for you to do a psychedelic trip. All right, it's time for you to do your psychedelics. It's no longer sufficient for you to just have, chants. We need all of our elders to be psychonauts, as it was in ancient times. We would go to the elders for mushrooms, ayahuasca, ibogaine, bufo, to guide you and keep your heart pure. Because in this monkey mind, chicken head civilization, it will ruin your soul living from your head. Sisters, go from your mental tomb to your crystal womb. Don't believe Steve Harvey saying, think like a man. No, we don't need. Men are turned off by women that try to think like a man. Turned off. So, getting back to the recipe, African raw, Esfan seeds, baked, oven, glass saucepan, 350 degrees, 20 minutes. Then half a cup, and you can adjust it if you have a little more than half a cup. That's okay. I'm just saying, for a gallon of water, to 2 cups of acacia wood powder. Then add the gum of Arabic. Let boil, bring to a boil, then let it simmer. While the water is boiling, let the water boil for about an hour, and then shut it down and let it simmer for another, say, hour to 2 hours. But while you're doing that, make sure you use sage. Make sure you're playing music, saying prayers, calling on our ascended master ancestors to bless and anoint the ayahuasca. As I said before, don't take any entheogens if you want some kind of high blood pressure medication. Do not mess with psychedelics. If you got a mental disease and you on meds, don't bother with it. Get yourself some orgone. Ladies, get some orgone waist beads to stimulate your internal DMT. Brothers, you get yourself some orgone to wear over your heart. Our men, we have to protect our hearts. Women, you have to protect your wombs. And actually, in this crazy world, we got to do, protect all of ourselves. But what I'm finding, and a special shout out to Mandy, and special shout out to all the Jedis who are walking with the orgone. And thank you, all my brothers and sisters who have been patient, because I've been upgrading and meditating and asking the Crystal Kingdom to share with me the best ways to activate the orgone. So the orders that are still waiting, your orders are much better than I would have given to you had I filled it out. months ago or weeks ago, because the revelations, it keeps getting better and better and better. Like this one here. This is a brand new one, family. Let me show you this one. This is a different arrangement of magnets that was inspired by crystal meditation. Different arrangement of magnets that activate Enoch magnets that activate Numite. Okay, I even have it on Enoch magnetic column. And when I put this on, all I was feeling all day was bliss, heartgasmic bliss. And that's what we all deserve, brothers and sisters. All right. I see so many in the chat. I can't answer all of it, but thank you for all your comments. They will be posted. I want to show you what tonight's show is going to be with our brother, Professor Muhammed Bey. This is what the next half of the show is going to be about. Bankster Gangster Secrets Part 1. And family, look at the flyer. Is it my imagination, or does Professor Bey highly resemble Prophet Noble Drew Ali? This is something that you have to say, hey, you never know. Okay? So maybe we'll go over this. Family, if you'd like for me to go over these herbs again, maybe we'll do this again in the near future. But I wish you the best. Keep an eye on your pots. Drink and enjoy. And I hope this has been helpful, because in summary, family, what I'm saying is yes, psychedelics promotes anti-aging. All right. Let me call Brother Muhammad, and let's move into the second half of the show. All right, hold on one second. Here we go. And I hope y'all enjoyed that presentation, because my guides said share that recipe without going on a Zoom and charging y'all money. They said give it to them freely. So glory to our ascended master ancestors who provided this information for you. Call upon them when you do this meditation and while you're preparing these herbs. Okay, hold on. Professor Bey, stand by. We're bringing them on.
Greetings and peace, Brother Hank.
Greetings, brother. Welcome to Magnus Crystals and Pyramids. And we're all set up to do it again, man.
Well, thank you, sir. Can you hear me clear?
Yeah, we can hear you clear. You don't have any of that electrical smog.
All right. Thank you, sir, for that.
All right, hold on. Let me put your face up here. I was just telling the folks, y'all see the resemblance? Y'all see the resemblance? Hold on. Where is it? I'm getting all excited and happy. Here we go. Look at the resemblance, family. Go ahead, Brother Muhammad. The show, you got the mic. Do your thing.
Thank you once again, Brother Hank,
Mm-hmm.
for inviting me to your show. I appreciate it, as I always do, so kindly. And because our people need information in this day and time, so we can try to move forward for what we're trying to do. I'm going to do the prayer, and I'll read you something, and we'll get into it. And make sure you post that one that says modern money.
I got them all up there, man. I got them all up there. Don't you worry about that. You do that prayer, that pretty prayer you do. You do your thing. I got it all ready for you.
Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. I bear witness that there is no deity but Allah. I bear witness that there is no deity but Allah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala salah. Come to prayer, come to prayer. Hayya ala falah, hayya ala falah. Come to your good, come to your good. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest, Allah is the greatest. La ilaha illallah. There is no deity but Allah. Hayya ala falah. Come to your good. As-salatu khairum minan ni'am. As-salatu khairum minan ni'am. Prayer is better than sleep. Prayer is better than sleep. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Peace be upon thee and Allah's blessings. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Peace be upon thee and Allah's blessings. Thank you, family. I'm going to read something from the Quran.
Oh, Professor, hold on 1 second. There was a good question, family, about the how much of the tea to drink. Now, the Seh Haw tea with the acacia, you can drink it all day, throughout the day. Now, when you make that Egyptian ayahuasca, I recommend only a half an ounce to an ounce after you boil that 1 gallon down to 1 quart. Okay? Only a half an ounce. And do it with a lot of prayers. And thank you, family, for that question. Professor Bey, the show is yours. And you got 3 people waiting to come on to testify.
Thank you, sir.
Do your thing.
Okay, so I get started. I was trying to decide, do we want them to just let them go ahead on and do their testimonies first, or what you think?
Whatever you want. You want them to talk?
Yeah, let them come and do their testimonies.
Tony King, welcome
Yes,
to the
sir.
show. All right, hold on a second. Let me just move this flyer out the way. And let me put you inside the cartouche or the new. Welcome to Magnets, Crystals, and Pyramids, brother.
Thank you. How you doing?
Good. Turn that. Yeah, okay, that's good. I like that background. I like that background. The picture.
Thank you.
Okay. Say your piece, brother.
Yes, sir. I want everybody that's listening to just take time out, and it just ain't no talk show here for somebody just to talk and go ahead on down the road with somebody else and just think it's just a show that's coming on here and ain't nothing coming out of it. Because everything that he done led me toward, Professor Bey, I thank Allah for him, because a lot of people that has what he has, you know, they won't give it out the way that he give it out. And I'm talking about anytime you need him to call, no matter what time of the day or night, he always there for you. And then he explained it so plain. Sometime when I first sat down with him, it was unreal, because we done been lied to so much and been so easy to be able to catch the lie and always let the liar get away. And then when we get a man of truth that's coming to try to bring it to us, we done been up under this whip so long, they just cause us to be able to reject
it. Thank you, bro. All right. I want to bring the next person on, Anuket and Kansu. Welcome to Magnets, Crystals, and Pyramids, y'all. We can't hear you. Unmute your mic. There you go.
Peace and honor.
Can you see him okay?
Okay.
Well, what y'all want to say?
You want to go first?
I just want to say he's very patient, he's very understanding, and he'll work with you, because just like the brother said, a lot of things he's saying, you can't believe it, because like he said, you've been lied to, you've been hoodwinked, you've been bamboozled, but he'll stick with you. He'll study 7 days a week with you. And you know, he's great. He's doing his thing. He's sharing the knowledge. He's doing his thing. And me and my wife definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, I wanted to just say that when you are a God, you're supposed to act God-like. Okay, or you're supposed to have godly ways and godly actions. So, in regard to Professor Muhammed Bey, I just wanted to say that as far as me dealing with him, my husband kind of spearheaded everything, but I've been listening to him. Very knowledgeable, very forthright, very forthcoming, and he's like that behind the scenes. So it ain't like he just here for show and tell. He's here for remedy. He's here to make sure that we get what we need, and that what we deserve. But we are supposed to study and show ourselves approved. But as far as him, and being reputable and being a man of his word, I can attest to that. And I have received remedy. So I don't know if we're gonna kind of talk about that a little bit later, but I just wanted to make sure that as far as him being there, reliable, just like the other young man said, definitely on point. Definitely a man about his business because he's about the people's business. So you should be about your business and not be fearful, because that's very crippling. It's debilitating to be fearful of what's yours and what's rightfully, owed to us. So we got to kind of reverse, kind of do everything in reverse, and we just do step by step. And he's willing to share and be open. He has all his ducks in the row. He done paid the cost. He done been through it for us. So we just gotta, take heed, study, read, learn, have an understanding, overstanding, and understanding of everything. And all is well. So I definitely appreciate him. He's an upstanding brother. So
And explain what remedy did they get, Brother Hank?
What remedy did you get?
well, um, for me, I actually got my 9-8 number. So once I talked with him and we went over and we rehearsed and we always the timing. My remedy was a little bit more difficult than my husband's remedy. But at the end of the day, that's the point. You want to be able to study. You want to be able to read. You want to be able to review. You almost want to be able, it's secondhand, because you want to be unrattled. Because I had a person when I was getting my 9-8 number that was I mean, she was a she devil. I mean, she just like immediately, what country is this for? So I'm like, Taiwan. Oh, okay. I see where this is going. And I gave her my name. Then she like, oh, don't tell me. You're one of those. Don't tell me your last name is Bay L. Oh, okay. Then we got to the type of entity. Then we got to the type of entity. I've never heard of an express trust. Go close that, please. I've never heard of an express trust. I've never heard of that. In my 15 to 20 years of working here, I've been working here 15, 20 years on the other side, and I've been working on this side, and now that I'm on the foreign side, I've just never heard of an express trust. I mean, there's a foreign trust, there's a corporate trust, there's this trust, there's that trust. What is that? Do you have your documentation? Do you have your express trust documentations there? I need your information. So it was almost like, she was coming at me like fire. So I was just like, 9A type of entity. What was your question? Other, express trust, etc. Then she questioned the fact that I didn't know where I was from. And she wanted to give me a whole lecture about, I think y'all people think y'all not going to be taxed. Y'all people think y'all just not, because when you get a bill, I just want to make sure when it comes in the mail, you're going to pay taxes. You're going to get a bill and you're going to have to contend with the IRS. So I'm just letting you know. And I said, ma'am, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Who was this that you was talking to?
Her name was Emily Adams at the IRS. I know you would think she was an attorney for the IRS because she was just a regular person to answer the phone, but she was gunning. She was like, she was not having it. She was like, do you know, you said Taiwan? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, well, that's the Republic of China. That's the Republic of China. Like you said Taiwan, but I just wanted to let you know for your information that it's China. I'm like, okay. So it was almost like everything that I said, and then she kept asking about the phone number. You sure you don't want to attach a United States phone number? As far as the address, the mailing address. So you have a mailing address in the United States. And I'm like, yes. And she's like, you sure you don't want to put care of? You don't want to put a care of person? I'm like, no. So it's almost like everything that he teaches us is to stand firm, hold your ground. She wanted me to hang up on type of entity. She wanted me to hang up. She was all flustered. She told me she didn't trust me. That was the thing.
Her voice, did she seem like she was a European, or this sound like?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
She said she was uncomfortable. That's what she told me. The type of, I'm totally uncomfortable. I don't feel comfortable with moving forward with doing this application. I'm uncomfortable because you're telling me express trust, and I just have never heard of that in my 19 to 20 years of being here, and I just don't. I said, so are we moving forward or not? I have no idea what you're saying. I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you what? Now all I know is you're telling me a bunch of information, and
you have it in her feelings. I don't feel good.
Yeah, I said I don't feel comfortable. So are we moving forward or are we not? So you almost got to be like bust up. You gotta like, you can't show nervousness. You can't show that you're gonna fold. I just let her vent, let her keep talking, let her feel like she was making a mockery of me. She kept asking me for Social Security. You sure you don't have anybody that's a trustee that has a Social Security number? No. You sure that, so you have multiple trustees? I have two. You know what I'm saying? It's like, boom, you got to, and that's why you're talking to Professor Muhammed Bey, and you're going over it and going over it and going over it again, because I got, hard knocks, Hellcat. My husband got grace, grace and mercy. I got the tough one.
Yeah, the person that I got, it seems as though she was new. And what threw me off, she asked me my birthday. And so I kind of got thrown off. I kind of paused. So she said, well, you're not going to answer. We're going to end this call. So I went on and gave it to her. And she didn't ask a lot of questions past 9 or 10. So I was asking her, you're not going to answer this? They're going to ask me. I'm asking her. But the bottom line is,
she said she had to vet them.
Yeah,
she said she had to vet them. She said, well, I need your date of birth so I can run it.
Yeah, she was trying to match it with a Social Security number or something like that, but she couldn't. I was like, no, this is not domicile. Bottom line is, what you get from practice from him makes you prepared for this call. It makes you prepared. And you might think you're ready. You say, no, not yet. You're not ready. Because some people just want to call. These people try to be intimidating. They try to twist you up. They try to say things that they're not supposed to say. So he will prepare you to get this EIN number. He will prepare you for that. Get with him, and we're gonna go down the list and be with him all the way to freedom, total freedom.
Thank you for sharing.
We enjoyed it.
Thank you.
You're gonna be Day Freeman.
All right. Now we're going to add Patolo Bay. Patolo Bay.
Greetings.
The pyramids.
Hi, thank you. Greetings to the ancestors. Thank you, Hanky, and to Professor Bey. As the couple was just saying, yes, the IRS lady, when I first called, it took me 30 minutes. After I held on for 30 minutes, hung up on right back, Kenzie, who had the same form of attitude as the lady had with you. And when she asked me for my Social Security number, I let her know my mother told me I didn't have to have one, so I don't have one. She said, wait a minute, your mother just had before you called? I said, no, ma'am. My mother told me I did not have to have a social required of me. I said, and anyway, it says in your IRS manual, if applicable, NA. The conversation, she disappeared. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, hello? Hello? 20 held on. She never got back on the phone. I had to hang up, call back again, wait another 30 minutes, and then I spoke with someone, and then she asked the same questions that she asked the young lady that was just speaking. And she didn't even ask me all of the questions. The 9A, and then from 9A, it was okay after that. She kept asking me, are you sure it's the country? Are you sure the country? Is this a company, a limited liability? I said, no. Line
Hold on one
9A,
second.
that's trust.
Professor Bey, shut off your speaker because we get an echo back.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, sister.
Yes. Brother Bey prepared me well for the questions. And I already know when you call them, it's a tough time. So I was ready. And I started at 4 o'clock in the morning, California time, calling them. So I finally got through at 9:18 is when I received my number, my EIN. Also, previously had been taking some classes, contract law classes. Everything that Professor Bey was saying, I was able to go back in the contract law class and see the same things, but it was steps missing that he felt that they didn't give us. But I'm glad I listened to him, and I'm rolling with him all the way.
Wow. That's some good testimonies there, Professor Bey.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Bey.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you, Anuket and Kansu. And thank you, Tony King.
Thank you.
All right, so y'all can hang out if you want to, or y'all can fall back. Looks like y'all falling back. So Professor Bey, back to you. What you want to do?
Well, you know to get on with the show.
Okay.
Okay. I want to read something here first from the Quran. You still hear noise?
No.
Okay, good. Okay.
Oh yeah. There is a little bit of feedback. Hold on a second. I'm going to mute y'all so that we can see if we can clear up the sound. Okay. Okay, Professor, go ahead. Let's see how it sounds.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Do your thing.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Okay, in Surah 103, it says, Al-Asra, the time. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, by the time, surely man is in loss, except those who believe and do good and exhort one another to truth and exhort one another to patience. Hold on. Now I'm in Surah chapter 14, Surah 14, section 1, verse number 4. And we sent no messengers but with the language of his people, so that he might explain to them clearly. Then Allah leaves in error whom he pleases, and he guides whom he pleases, and he is the mighty, the wise. Surely Allah changes not the condition of a people until they change their own condition. And when Allah intends evil to a people, there is no averting it. And besides him, they have no protector. He it is who shows you the lightning causing fear and hope, and who brings up the heavy clouds. Thank you, family. Moors, I meant to say, I don't like to use that word, but we're going to get on into the subject now. And this is one I've been kind of, holding for a little time, but I thought it was time now that we get into it. And as you can see, the topic is called Modern Money Mechanics. The purpose of this booklet is to describe the basic process of money creation in fractional reserve banking system. Now,
okay, I just put that up. You want me to put that? You want me to put that? You want me to put that on the screen?
Yeah, put that on the screen.
Okay, it's on the screen right now.
Okay, thank you, sir. Because I want them to see everything that I'm reading. The United States government decides that it needs some money. So it calls up the Federal Reserve and requests, let's say, it looks like $10 billion. The Federal Reserve Bank replies, sure, we will buy $10 billion in government bonds from you. So the government creates some fancy piece of paper called script, temporary paper currency, with official-looking designs, serial numbers, and symbols, and call them treasury bonds. Then the government puts a value on these bonds in the sum of $10 billion and sends them over to the Federal Reserve Bank. On the other hand, the Federal Reserve Bank draws up some fancy piece of paper called script, temporary paper currency, with official-looking designs, serial numbers, and symbols, and call them Federal Reserve notes. Also, a designated at value of $10 billion. Federal Reserve Bank then takes these notes and trade them for the bonds. Now, once this exchange is complete, the government then takes the $10 billion in Federal Reserve notes and deposit it into a bank account. And upon this deposit, paper notes officially becomes legal tender money for all debts, public and private, and adding $10 billion to the United States money supply. So, the Federal Reserve Bank in new money has created. Now, this example is a generalization. In reality, this transaction would occur electronically with no paper used at all. I hope you all heard that. In fact, only 3% of the United States money supply exists in physical currency, which is designed scarcity manipulation. The other 97% essentially exists by digital computer alone. Hope you all are listening. The Library of Congress contained a publication entitled The Statutes at Large, Treaties and Proclamations of the United States of America. 37 Congress, Session 3, Chapter 58, 1863, page 669, Section 17. And be it further in that the entire amount of circulating notes to be issued under this act shall not exceed $300 million. Now, do you all see why they have to do fractional lending? Most of you all probably didn't know that. It cannot exceed, and this is in the National Currency Act. Also keep in mind that cash or U.S. currency notes are not taxable because there is no interest on either one. However, commercial paper, i.e., Federal Reserve notes, carries interest and are taxable for use. Now, the U.S. currency notes, this is the part of the reason why they had to get Kennedy out of the way, because Kennedy wanted to use the Treasury notes, and that was a conflict of interest with that and the Federal Reserve, because those notes would not have carried any tax or any interest. The amount of U.S. currency notes outstanding and in circulation may not be more than 300 million and may not be held, listen to it now, and may not be held or used for reserve. Hope y'all heard that. Now, government bonds are by design instrument of debt. When the Federal Reserve Bank purchases these bonds with money essentially created out of thin air, the government is actually promising to pay back that money to the Federal Reserve Bank created out of debt. So money is debt. Now, the exchange has been made and the $10 billion is sitting in some commercial bank account. This is where things get interesting. Based on fractional reserve practice, that $10 billion deposit instantly becomes part of the bank's reserve. Pay attention. Fractional reserve banking is a system in which only a fraction of bank deposits are backed by actual cash on hand and available for withdrawal. So in other words, all the banks are really interested in your deposits. This is how they really function. This is done to theoretically expand the economy by freeing capital for lending. In regard to reserve requirements as stated in modern money mechanics, fractional reserve banking is a system in which only a fraction of bank deposits are backed by actual cash on hand and available for withdrawal. This is done to theoretically expand the economy by freeing capital for lending. Now, a bank must maintain legally required reserve. So the bank has a required reserve in the form of vault cash and or balances at its Federal Reserve Bank, equal to a prescribed percentage of its deposits. The Federal Reserve Bank then quantifies, which means to calculate or express, this by stating, under current regulation, the reserve requirement against most transaction account is 10%. I hope you all heard that, 10%. Now, hey, do you see where I'm at?
No, I can't read it because of the size of my screen.
Oh, because of the size of the screen. Okay. So hopefully they're seeing where I'm reading that.
Yes, and I'm going to post it right now as you continue, one page after the next.
This means, and I want you all to listen, family, 10% of $10 billion deposit equals $1 billion. So you have a total of 10 billion. And remember now, the requirement is they must hold 10%. So 10% of the 10 billion is $1 billion that they have, which is held as required reserve, meaning that the bank have to hold that in their required reserve, right? While the other $9 billion is considered an excessive reserve and can be used as the basis for new loans. Sounds familiar, huh? New loans. Now, it is logically to assume that the $9 billion is coming literally out of the existing $10 billion deposit. That's that original $10 billion. So you're going to assume that that $9 billion is coming out of that 10. But that's not the case, though. However, this is not the case. What really happens is that the $9 billion is simply created out of thin air on top of the existing $10 billion deposit that totals $19 billion. This is how they do fractional lending. Did y'all just hear what I said? You assume the $1 billion, they had to take 10% from the $10 billion, which left $1 billion. So the bank keeps that in the reserve. So you're thinking that the $9 billion came from that $10 billion. No. The $10 billion was still there. So what they did, they went and created another $9 billion out of thin air, which made it $19 billion. And this is how they do the money supply. This is how the money supply expands. As stated in modern money mechanics, of course, the banks do not really pay out loans. You see, this is why I always ask people, tell me what the bank gave you. Oh, the bank gave me a loan? No, ma'am. No, sir. The bank did not give you no loan. You gave the bank consideration and equity, but the bank didn't give you nothing. I just read it to you in their book right here. You all better get the wax out your ears. Listen up. As stated, I'm going to say it again, as stated in Modern Money Mechanics, of course, the banks do not really take out loans from the money they receive as deposits. If they did this, no additional money would be created. Pay attention now. What the bank do when they make loans is to accept promissory notes. See, I said it to you. Loan credit, loan contracts is in exchange for your credit to the borrower's transaction account. In other words, when you sit down and you're signing that promissory note, that mortgage-backed security, you are giving the bank a loan. You're loaning them credit. You're loaning them your credit. They're going to go and do an assessment of your assets on the private side of the ledger. I'm trying to get y'all to understand. You see, our ancestors didn't deal in this stuff. We didn't deal in mortgages. We didn't deal in titles, deeds, taxes. We didn't have to deal in it because the land was our land. Now, in other words, your promissory note, now listen to this now. This is the kicker. In other words, your promissory note is recorded as a bank asset. Now, if y'all didn't catch that, I don't know what to tell you. I told you all, every time when you're filling out an application and you're going to give them your personal information and they're going to ask you for that social security number, social means public. Public, so if social means public, then you have always been issuing public securities all of your life. Ever since you were filling out applications. That's what those companies were doing with your applications. They were securitized and monetized and getting money, even if you didn't get that job. Hope y'all get it. Now, furthermore, the $9 billion is simply created out of nothing, simply because there is demand for loans and there is $10 billion deposit to satisfy the reserve requirement. Let's assume someone walks into a bank and borrows the newly available $9 billion. They would likely take that money and deposit it into their own bank account. The process then repeats itself. Follow it now. The $9 billion deposit becomes part of the bank's reserve. This means they're going to take 10% of that $9 billion. So this means 10% of the $9 billion deposit equals $900 million, which is held as required reserve, while the other $8.1 billion is considered an excessive reserve and can be used as the basis for new loans. Do you all see the repeat? I'm going to give you the next one. The process then repeats again. This means 10% of the $8.1 billion deposit equal, that will come out to be $810 million, which is held as required reserve repeats again. I know y'all is probably saying, wow. This means 10% of the $7,290,000,000 deposit equal $729 million, which is held as required reserve, while the other $6,561,000,000 is considered an excessive reserve and can be used as the basis for new loans. The process repeats again. This means 10% of the $6,561,000,000 deposit equal $656,100,000, which is held as required reserve, while the other $5,904,900,000 is considered an excessive reserve and can be used as the basis for new loans. Then that process repeats. So you all get the gist of what I'm saying now. So they keep repeating that cycle at 10%. And whatever that comes to, they take a 10% for that, then you give them an excessive reserve because they're saying their loans are being called in. So they keep repeating the cycle. This deposit money creation loan cycle can technically go until infinity, time without end. The average mathematical result is that about 90 billion can be created on top of the original 10 billion. Did y'all hear that? 90 billion can be created on top of the original 10 billion that I started out with reading to you. In other words, for every deposit that ever occurs in the banking system, about 9 times that amount can be created out of thin air. So, now that we understand how money is created out by their fractional reserve banking system, a logical yet elusive question might come to mind. What is actually giving this newly created money value? The answer is the money in the money supply system that already exists. The new money essentially steals value from the existing money supply. For the total pool of money is being increased irrespective to the demand of goods and services. And as supply and demand finds equilibrium, prices rise, diminishing the purchasing power of each individual dollar. Well, it ain't worth nothing anyway. This is all an illusion. This is what I'm really trying to tell you. This is generally referred to as inflation, see? And inflation is essentially a hidden tax on the public. Republican Representative Texan Ron Paul, at the 13-minute mark, 13 seconds, the 13 minutes and 44 seconds, listen to his comments to Ben Bernanke, Chairman of the United States Federal Reserve Bank. The fractional reserve system monetary expansion is inherently inflationary. For the actively expanding the money supply without there being a proportional expansion of goods and services in the economy will always debase lower a currency. So, $1 in 1913 required $21.60 in 2007 to match value. Did y'all hear that? $1 in 1913 required $21.60 in 2007 to match the value. This is 96% deflation in 94 years since the Federal Reserve Bank came into existence. So, every single dollar in your wallet is owed to somebody by somebody. Remember, the only way money could come into existence is through loans. And loans is a fraud because they never loan you nothing. Therefore, if everyone in the country country were able to pay off all debts, including the government, there would not be $1 in circulation. If there were no debt in our money system, there wouldn't be any money.
Wow. Well, family, you're hearing it right here on Magnets, Crystals, and Pyramids. You heard the testimonies. You can reach Professor Bey, 786-624-8257. Email Mr. Bey 33169@gmail.com. And if you're feeling generous, Cash App, Alfred Thompson, $, Moores 33054.
And I'm gonna have to change that name because people saying that they have a problem with it. I don't know what, but we'll work through that. We'll work that out. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you know, this is the number you can reach him. Consultation.
Yes.
And this is his email. We coming up on the 8 o'clock hour. You know what, Professor Bey? I'm looking at on my screen what I posted. I want to see if there's a way that I could spread it out across the screen so that the people, when they look at this in review, they can read the money mechanics. So I'm going to work on that, family, so that you'll be able to read this with greater resolution, because it's kind of small on my laptop. And I'm sure if you have unless you're watching through a TV screen and you're able to pause, it might be difficult on the reading. But this is just to get you an idea of how competent Professor Bey and how dedicated he is to helping you restore your noble status instead of being a cash cow for a pimp-like structure of the European money system that was hijacked in this country. Basically, right now they have the whole country being cash cows. Please continue, Professor.
Thank you, sir. Now, and I heard you brought that up, some about the title, but I'm going to veer from it a little bit. I'm going to give them, it's Article 1, Section 9.
Do you want me to type that in?
Yeah, type that in.
Okay.
Article 1.
Hold on a second. Article
Section 9.
1, Section 9.
Well, yeah, Article 1, Section 9.
Go ahead.
Clause 8. CLAUSE. Clause 8.
CAUSE, Clause 8.
No, it's clause. C as in Charlie. L as in Larry. A as in Apple. U as in uniform. S as in Sam. E as in Echo.
Oh, I had it right. Okay. Clause 8. Okay. I'm going to post it in the chat.
Does the definition come up on yours? It don't show it, right?
Yeah, I can't. I'm looking for. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see. Yeah, because this is too small for me to even read.
Okay.
What we're going to do, this is so juicy, Professor. We got to do this show again. And then what I want to do, family, and tell me y'all like this idea. I want to spread so that the lettering is easy to read. Do y'all like that idea? Because it's like 70 people right now listening in, and I want to spread it out so that y'all could read directly what Professor Bey is talking about right across the whole screen, so that you can see where he's going with this information. So you know what I'd like to do, Professor? And tell me if you're okay with this. Let's go over this again next week with better. Let's do this. Let's do this show again. If you're up for it, let's do it again. And what I'll do is I'll work on having a better display of everything from one side of the screen to the other.
Okay.
What you think of that? Because this is a must-have information.
And what me just read them this here first.
And I'm getting feedback. They're saying, yes, this is a good idea. Folks like, yeah, you can take snapshots. That's a good idea, Kiki. But this is life-changing information, family, that Professor Bey is dropping on the show. This information will change your life for the better. To be informed, there's nothing like good information. Please continue, Professor.
And thank you. And I want to explain this to them so they'll have a clear understanding why I brought the article up. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8. Now listen to how it reads. You all going to need to pull it up too and look at it for yourself. No title of nobility shall mean must, shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them, talking about that corporation, shall, without the consent of the Congress, except of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind, whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state. So in other words, this is a case that you can use when you want to invoke this. If you're in court or you want to get your title of nobility, your nationality. I'm also going to put this in people's paperwork when I do your paperwork, because you can invoke this. It says, without the consent of the Congress. In other words, what it's saying, you don't need the consent of the Congress to do your correction of your name, race, and nationality. That's why I brought it up, family. They cannot give it to you, okay? And at the same time, the Congress is without the consent of the Congress. So this is what I'm doing to you. This is why when I do your trust paperwork, I'm putting it inside of your trust, in the trust minutes. I know how to style it up in there. I know how to make it say what it needs to say. And you see, and I'm going to say this to people, because for those who paperwork that I do for them, not that I want that, but they make me their trustee. And I'm going to explain the reason why. It's because when you're setting that trust up, you're going to have a foreign trustee for the moment until I show you how to get your court order. But the way I'm doing it now is different from the way I went in. I went straight in there. I had to do my paperwork and do their paperwork. So now I'm trying to make it a little easier. So when the trust get filed on the record, so you already got it on the record file. And what happens, so now by you having me your trustee, if you're afraid to go in, then I would have to go in on behalf of the trust and speak for the trust. See, because some of y'all, you ain't cut for it.
Yeah, we heard about those that ain't cut for it. Get on the phone call and freeze up from the training from the cradle. And then get mad at you.
Yeah, so you see, so I help y'all in so many ways than you know it. And the reason why I do that is because I really want you to get I know when you get your nationalities corrected, I'm just touching, I haven't even scratched the surface with you all yet. Once y'all in that trust, it's so many things that you all can do. You all got available to you. But you got to be in the trust first. You want your title. I'm trying to help you get your title of nobility back. These devils are on your land, charging you taxes, got you paying a mortgage, got you with some warranty deed. Our ancestors never dealt in that stuff. You know how? Let me say this to the brothers. You know how we got land, brothers?
Oh.
Is when we married the woman.
Oh,
The land came through the woman. You remember the
Oh, yeah.
It's matriarch.
That's Cherokee style too.
Yes, that's how we got the land, brothers, through the woman.
Mm-hmm.
When you married her. Yes. That's why we need you sisters to not be the informant for these criminals and not give that child no birth certificate.
And another thing, sisters, the Cherokee way, if a brother didn't act right, you put his clothes on the front porch, and that's the divorce. Because you already own the land.
Exactly. Wait a minute, hey, don't be giving that all to you.
So y'all could have had foot baths, massages. Hello.
So, but that's for real though. Our ancestors, we never tell them birth certificate, social security numbers. We lived on the land, our land. This is your land here, not them Europeans. This is why I have to teach like I have to teach, because you think in your little slave mind that this is their land. No, it's not.
Now, you just touched on something. Now, the Native Americans said, look, the women worked the land. They fed, they took care of the kids. The men basically were the warriors, protectors, and the Europeans came and messed it all up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, sir. And we never had to have mortgages and deeds to live on. I gave you all that Homestead Act. When I told you when these Europeans was coming here, they was still in the land and they only had to work it for 5 years and the shit was given to them. They didn't have to have no mortgages, no warranty deeds, and no other kind of deeds. They didn't have to have that. So what they're doing now, by them having you and I to have that mortgage, they figure that when you don't pay it, they foreclose on you to steal it from you, knowing that they never gave you nothing for it. So you see how criminal they are?
Facts.
And this is why you all have to become astute. And a lot of us gonna have to learn how to learn etymology, because what I found out through the word itself, contract, the word con mean bind and tract mean land.
Here's a Cherokee proverb, family. A woman's highest calling is to lead a man to his soul so as to unite him with source. A man's highest calling is to protect woman so she is free to walk the earth unharmed.
Yes, sir. I told you that's how we got the land, through her.
I'm going to post that. So
now we're trying to come back.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to come back. I'm only one individual, family.
I'm going to put that up right now.
But you all got to have a renewed spirit. Be ye transformed by the renewings of your mind. Take off the old man and woman and put on the new man and woman. Come out of her, my people. You see?
Yep.
You gotta be refined again. You gotta let go the old way of thinking. It's just like eating that nasty pig. How you say, oh, it's good though. Yeah, but it ain't good for you. So this life, this repository life is not good for us. And we got to come to grips with that. That's why I tell people, when you come and deal with me, we're trying to get you remedy, I ain't letting you skip steps with me. And you're going to have to study. I gave y'all my testimony the last time. I told you all how I was getting my butt kicked, how I was getting knocked down. Well, nobody there with me, but that was my trial. That was my old rugged cross I had to bear. And you know what? And I'm glad I went through it. I'm glad I went through it. You see, because the only thing it did for me was made me stronger. Made my will stronger. No matter what pressure comes now, I dealt with it already. It ain't gonna just be your paperwork gonna change things. It ain't gonna just be the paperwork. It helps, but you're gonna have to do some standing up.
Listen to this. Here's another one, Professor. Hold on, family. Let me just the elders say the native or the indigenous woman will lead the healing among the tribes. We need to especially pray for our women and ask the Creator to bless them and give them strength. Inside them are the powers of love and strength given by the moon and the earth. When everyone else gives up, it is the woman who sings the songs of strength. She is the backbone of the people. So, to our women, we say, sing your songs of strength. Pray for your special powers. Keep our people strong. Be respectful, gentle, and modest. Oh, great one, bless our women. Make them strong today. And I'll add to this saying, get out the mental tomb into the crystal womb.
Yes.
Women, get out your mental tomb and get in touch with your crystal womb.
And what you basically saying too, you learn they got to learn how to be feminine again.
Exactly.
That's how you all are cut, sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a time when you all have to be warriors, but that's not really your real nature, though.
Exactly.
See,
Professor, we got to do this show again. And everybody is saying that they want to do it again. And we're going to have that display. So, family, this is the intro, but we're going to cover this. And next week, Professor, it's all your program. I'll do opening words, and we're going to have a spread so they can read it easier.
Good. Thank you, sir.
All right, family, y'all like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we'll be on the same time or different time?
You're going to do the 6 o'clock again.
Okay, so then you bring me on at 7. Okay.
Yeah. No, we're going to bring you on at about right after the opening. So that'll be more like around 6:30. You'll be on. Okay. So, family, we're going to wrap it up for tonight. I want to thank everybody for listening in. Watch the show again because we're going to have a full display so Professor can go over this again. This is going to be part 20A next week. Does that make sense, Professor?
Yes.
Because this is show 20. So next week will be 20A, and he'll be able. We want you to be able to see everything on the screen that Professor is will be saying. And I want to thank you again, Professor Muhammed Bey, for an excellent presentation. I'm going to keep all of these charts until I replace them. And on that, we're just going to close out. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And thank you, family. Bless.
Peace to the gods.
Say often, yes, I am. Supreme shield of protection surrounding me. Yes, I am. Yes, I am remembering all I was born to do. Yes, I am. Take hold of your crystal, which will magnify your I am affirmations at least 600%. If you don't have a pistol, you better have a crystal.